Hi, my name is Deroy, and welcome to another episode of Millennial Reasonings, short presentations from a Jamaican born millennial living in North America on topics I find interesting: history, migration, politics, and culture. Episode 4: Anansi, Africa, and Jamaica. About 2 years ago, while browsing one of the popular TV series and movie apps, I came across a series called American Gods. It's a series about how different groups of people brought their gods and cultures to America and how over time many of these ethnic gods were forgotten and replaced by newer gods, such as technology and globalization. It is an intriguing series, as not only did it tell the story of how the different beliefs of people groups traveled with them during their migration from their places of origin to the New World, but in particular, did a really good job of showcasing some of the ancient beliefs of African peoples, one of which was about the African god Anansi, a character that as a Jamaican I was very familiar with. I had not thought about Anansi in a long time before that, and so I enjoyed the show's portrayal of this staple of African and Jamaican folklore. And what was so fascinating was that Anansi was not portrayed as a trickster and con artist, but as the West African god that he originally was. As a student of history and enthusiast of culture, it was a breath of fresh air. Since then, Anansi has not come to mind much, but like an old song that you can never forget, even after not singing it for years, he has come up again. This time, he has come up as a topic for discussion or presentation as I seek to tell stories and weave tales in this new space, just as how this eight-legged namesake spins and weaves webs. It is not uncommon for a nation of people to think of itself as the center of the world, and Jamaicans sometimes have this shortcoming as well. The series American Gods did a great job of reminding me that this was not the case. It reminded me that Anansi did not belong to us alone. He belonged to Africa, and as such had made his way to the USA and Canada just as he made his way to the Caribbean. In fact, not only did he embed himself in African American culture, where he pops up in the tales of African American legend, often referred to as Aunt Nancy's stories, he also made his way into the Marvel Universe pantheon through the Amazing Spider-Man comic series book, no less. In Jamaican folk tradition, Anansi is a mischievous spider who is always tricking persons to get what he wants. Stories about this character have origins in the Akan culture of West Africa. These were transmitted to Jamaica from that continent with enslaved people who were transported to Jamaica during the transatlantic trade in captured Africans. After slavery, Anansi stories were told during the nights in the free villages and continued in many households long after that. Anansi storytelling was accompanied by singing and always ended with the line, Jack Mandora, me no choose none. This means no blame should be attributed to the listener, storyteller, or writer. However, Anansi is also seen as a symbol of survival and endurance, and is the protagonist of many folk tales. Anansi stories have been shared for centuries by West Africans and passed down as an example of survival and hope by their descendants, many of whom were captured from Africa and enslaved in different parts of the world. The enslaved Africans brought these myths and stories across the ocean, and as they labored on plantations across the Americas, they continued to share them as a way of reminding themselves of who they were, where they came from, and as a tool of comfort. In many of these Anansi stories, a small spider tends to overcome and outwit larger animals such as lions, tigers, elephants, and even turtles. So in these stories, where something apparently weak and without much power overcomes a more powerful opponent, these stories must have given the enslaved Africans much hope. Notwithstanding that view, I am personally more drawn to the portrayal of Anansi as the West African god, similar to how he is portrayed in the Marvel Universe comics. Interestingly, those stories are closer to the original African myths than the folklore tales told by Jamaicans. In those myths, Anansi, also called Kwaku Anansi, is the African god of wisdom and culture and the trickster god. He possesses the ability of superhuman strength, stamina, resistance to injury, and can also shapeshift. He's also very much interested in telling stories and passing on wisdom, which isn't surprising. After all, he is the god of wisdom. So here I am after years of thinking of Anansi as a trickster and con artist, coming to appreciate the other elements of his mythology: survival, endurance, wisdom, and storytelling. And now, having become a sort of griot myself, that is, a West African historian and storyteller, I guess I'm now a sort of a Nancy, a description that I would not have taken kindly to years ago, and one which some in Jamaica may still not take kindly to. But I do like the idea of telling stories, passing on history, and weaving a web of wisdom and truth. For more about Anansi and Anansi stories, just type in Anansi on YouTube and you'll be flooded with stories, cartoons, comics telling this great mythology from West Africa. This has been Millennial Reasonings. Thanks for watching.